different reasons patients may need a urostomy bag, such as obstructions or tumors of the urinary tract. It may be indicated to treat patients with a neurogenic bladder, congenital anomalies, or severe traumatic injuries of the bladder. Urostomy bags may also be used to treat radiation cystitis, which is when the bladder becomes inflamed after radiation treatment. With that being said, we're going to talk about the nursing care of a urostomy bag, including the surgical procedure itself, care of the stoma, types of urostomy bags, as well as patient and family teaching and more. So let's jump right in. So let's talk about the procedure itself in which the urostomy bag is placed. A urostomy bag usually is applied after a surgical procedure called a urinary diversion. In this surgical procedure, the normal flow of urine is rerouted out of the body when urine flow is blocked or needs to bypass a diseased area. Now, I want you guys to understand that not every patient requires a urostomy bag after a urinary diversion. Some types of urinary diversions create a reservoir or storage area to hold urine using a piece of the person's intestine. The patient can periodically insert a catheter through the valve into the storage area to drain the urine. This is called a continent urinary diversion. However, urinary diversions that do require a urostomy bag to be applied are called incontinent urinary diversions. An incontinent urinary diversion would probably be recommended for patients who are confused, cognitively impaired, or can't realize when it's time to drain the storage area. So incontinent urinary diversions require a urostomy bag. Continent urinary diversions do not require a urostomy bag. An example of a continent urinary diversion would be an Indiana pouch or cock pouch where the urine is drained using a catheter instead of a urostomy bag. But of course, since we are discussing urostomy bag care, our focus here would be the incontinent urinary diversion because this is the type of diversion that requires a urostomy bag. I just wanted to clarify the difference between the two, just in case this topic pops up on one of your nursing exams. So, moving along. So let's briefly go over the two main types of incontinent urinary diversions, just so you guys can be familiar with them. So let's start with an ileal conduit. An ileal conduit is a type of incontinent cutaneous urinary diversion. When you hear ileal and ileal conduit, think ileum. If you can remember from anatomy and physiology, the ileum is the last portion of the small intestine. An ileal conduit involves a surgical resection of the ileum. A small portion of the ileum is removed from the small intestine, brought to the abdominal wall, and connected to the ureters. Urine will then flow from the ureters into the ileal conduit. The distal end of the ileal conduit is formed into a stoma, creating an opening on the surface of the body. That stoma will be where the urine exits the body, and a urostomy bag will be placed on top of the stoma to catch the urine as it constantly flows out. A cutaneous ureterostomy is another type of incontinent urinary diversion in which one or both ureters are directed through the abdominal wall and attached to an opening that is surgically created in the skin. These cutaneous diversions are usually permanent, though you may see them temporarily placed in your pediatric patients. Nonetheless, the patient wears a urostomy bag to collect the urine because the patient doesn't have any control over when urine is excreted from the stoma. The difference between this procedure and an ileal conduit is that a cutaneous ureterostomy doesn't involve any surgical resections or transplantations of the bowel. The ureters are brought directly to the abdominal wall and attached to an opening. However, both procedures redirect the stream of urine and involve urine being collected into a urostomy bag. Let's go over some nursing guidelines for the patient undergoing the surgical procedure of a urinary diversion. As we briefly stated, creation of a urinary diversion is a surgical procedure. So the patient needs physical and psychological support before and after surgery. You can encourage support from the patient's family as well as from other members of the healthcare team. You could also refer the patient to support groups so that they can be supported by other individuals that have had a urostomy bag placed. The ostomy created for the diversion does require specific physical care for which you as the nurse are initially responsible. So we're going to talk about some care guidelines that will help promote the patient's physical and psychological well-being, starting with care of the stoma. Now let's talk about stoma care immediately after surgery. As the nurse, you should inspect the patient's stoma regularly. The color should be dark pink to red, and it should be moist. This indicates good perfusion to the stoma. A pale stoma may indicate anemia, and a dark or purple-bluish stoma may reflect compromised circulation or ischemia, which is a medical emergency. Bleeding around the stoma and its stem should be minimal after surgery. You should notify the provider immediately if bleeding persists, if bleeding is excessive, or if color changes occur in the stoma. Next, we want to note the size of the stoma. Immediately after surgery, the stoma may have some swelling and edema. This is expected but usually resolves in 6 to 8 weeks after surgery. A healthy and fully healed stoma should protrude a half to 1 inch from the surface. If an abdominal dressing is in place over the surgical incision, check it frequently for drainage and bleeding. Monitoring for drainage and bleeding will help prevent infection and unnoticed hemorrhage. The dressing is usually removed after 24 hours unless the surgeon orders otherwise. The peristomal area, which is the skin surrounding the stoma site, should be kept clean and dry. If not, the skin around the stoma could become irritated or even infected. A leaking urostomy bag causes skin erosion because urine is very acidic. Frequent exposure to urine can put the patient's skin at high risk for breakdown. So please make sure that the urostomy bag is fitted well, and please be sure to empty and change the urostomy bag as needed. Also, you want to measure the patient's fluid intake and output. Careful monitoring of urinary output is vital to detect fluid imbalances and assess the functioning of the urinary diversion. If the patient's urinary output is low or less than expected for their intake, this may indicate dehydration, obstruction, or complications within the surgical diversion, and should be reported immediately. Keep the patient as free of odors as possible. You can do this by encouraging hydration, good hygiene, and being sure that their bag is emptied and changed as needed. Patients with urinary diversions created using a portion of the gastrointestinal tract, such as with the ileal conduit that we talked about earlier, will have some mucus in their urine. This is because that segment of the GI tract continues to produce mucus as part of its normal functioning. Now, this mucus production doesn't decrease over time, but usually isn't a huge concern. Mucus in the urine, however, is usually a problem for those patients who have a continent urinary diversion because mucus buildup can block the catheter used to empty the pouch. Encourage the patient to participate in care and to look at the stoma. According to the Wound, Ostomy, and Continence Nursing Society, patients usually begin to accept their altered body image when they are willing to look at the stoma and make neutral or positive statements concerning the ostomy. Also, it's normal for patients to experience a period of depression during the early post-operative period. Help the patient to cope by listening to them, explaining details, and being available and supportive. A visit from a representative of the local ostomy support group may also be helpful. Remember that patients with an ileal conduit had a bowel resection as part of their surgical procedure. So monitoring for the return of intestinal function and peristalsis is important. Active bowel sounds and passing gas are good indicators that your patient's gut is moving. But if you don't hear any bowel sounds, please make sure you've listened to each quadrant for a full 5 minutes before you document that bowel sounds are absent. So now we are going to talk about the care of the actual urostomy bag. A urostomy bag is an external appliance that collects urine for patients with incontinent urinary diversions. It's usually a soft pouch, which can either be reusable or disposable. At the top of the pouch, you'll see a firm faceplate that's several inches in diameter. These faceplates aren't pre-cut to fit the stoma. So what we do is we measure the stoma and then cut the opening along the circular lines in the back of the pouch. This ensures that the urostomy bag fits the patient's stoma precisely, because stoma sizes can vary depending on the patient. Also, some base plates can be detached from the pouch. This is called a two-piece system, while other urostomy bags may be one-piece appliances. The faceplate sticks firmly around the stoma using a moisture-proof adhesive to prevent the urine from leaking out. Some patients also wear an elasticized belt that goes around the waist and attaches to the sides of the faceplate for extra support. At the bottom of the urostomy pouch, you'll find a drainage valve that you'll open to empty the urine. You're going to want to pay attention to the color of your patient's urine. If your patient's urine is dark, then that means they could possibly have a low fluid intake. Now, if their urine is still dark, even after you encourage hydration, you're going to want to notify the physician immediately, because dark, cloudy, or strong-smelling urine could indicate a UTI. So now we're going to get into how often the urostomy bag must be emptied, and then after this we will get into how often the entire bag should be changed. So the urostomy bag must be emptied frequently. If the bag is not emptied frequently and urine builds up, the urostomy bag will become heavy from the weight of the urine, causing tension on the faceplate and possibly loosening the seal. Depending on the person, the bag may have to be emptied several times a day. There is also something called a night drainage system. This system is made up of drainage tubing that is attached to a large collection bag or bottle, which helps the patient avoid having to wake up out of their sleep throughout the night to empty the urostomy bag. Do keep in mind that the night drainage systems should always be kept below the level of the stoma. The tubing that connects the catheter or collection appliance to the closed drainage system should remain straight at all times to prevent urine from pooling in any bends or curves, which we will talk more about this soon during patient and family teaching. So let's talk about how often the entire urostomy bag should be changed. How frequently the urostomy bag should be changed does depend on the type of urostomy bag being used. Now, it is recommended that the urostomy bag is changed during a time of low fluid intake, such as early in the morning. Urine production is usually lower at this time, which makes changing the appliance much easier. So last but certainly not least, we're going to move on to some patient teaching, and then I'll let you guys go. Now this part, the teaching segment, is a little lengthy and highly detailed, but it's very important because effective teaching sets the patient up for success when they are discharged home. As you saw earlier, patient teaching usually begins before the surgical procedure to give the patient enough time to absorb the information. Patient teaching is one of the most important aspects of nursing care, and when appropriate, it should include family members or anyone the patient identifies as part of their support system. Patient education is essential for promoting independence and self-care. Each aspect of care should be clearly explained by the nurse, including the role the patient will play in managing their own recovery. During teaching, patients should learn how to make observations, recognize signs of potential problems, and understand when they need to seek assistance. As the nurse, you should teach your patient to watch for signs and symptoms of fluid and electrolyte imbalances as instructed. Now let's talk more about that collection container. If the patient is using a collection container, it must be kept below the level of the stoma. This promotes drainage and prevents backflow. Make sure the tubing connecting the catheter or urostomy appliance to the closed drainage system stays straight without any curves. It's important to avoid kinks in the tubing, as kinks can block the flow of urine and increase the risk of complications. Encourage the patient to drink adequate fluids. Have them monitor the color of their urine. If the urine appears darker than usual, they may need more fluids. They should call their physician if the urine remains dark, even with adequate fluid intake. The patient should take medications exactly as prescribed. They shouldn't skip any doses, nor should they stop taking a medication without medical direction. The patient should avoid any over-the-counter or non-prescription drugs without checking with their physician first. And finally, patients with a ureterostomy should not use any laxatives or enemas, as these can cause serious complications. Teach your patient that they can control odors by drinking cranberry juice, eating yogurt, or having buttermilk. Advise them to avoid foods that may cause urine odor, such as asparagus, cheese, or eggs. Next, instruct the patient to consult with a wound-ostomy and continence nurse about proper skincare techniques. Emphasize the importance of keeping the skin around the stoma clean. When changing the adhesive wafer, the part that holds the urostomy bag in place, they should remove any excess glue that's still left on the skin from the previous urostomy bag application before applying a new faceplate. For patients with the continent urostomy, teach them to drain the pouch 4 times a day or follow their physician's instructions. Finally, educate the patient on how to properly clean the urinary collection pouch. It should be washed thoroughly each time it is changed. If crystals form in the pouch, they can rinse or soak it in vinegar and water solution. When teaching a patient with the urostomy bag, it's crucial to let them know when they need to contact their physician right away. Teach them to call if any of the following occur: fever or chills, if they notice blood in the urine, if the stoma fails to drain urine, if they start to notice skin problems around the stoma, if there is unexplained weight loss of more than 5 pounds, if they begin to experience a loss of appetite lasting more than a few days, if they begin to have flank pain, either in the kidney area or lower abdomen, if they start to notice those signs of fluid and electrolyte imbalance, or if they notice any other unusual symptoms or problems. Make sure patients understand that early reporting of these issues can prevent serious complications in the long run. Okay, everyone, so this is our last slide for this lecture. At the end of patient teaching, the patient and the family member should be able to do the following. They should be able to explain the procedure. They should be able to explain the reason for the urinary diversion and the rationale for treatment. They should be able to demonstrate self-care behaviors that effectively manage the diversion. The patient and the family should be able to describe follow-up care and existing support resources. They should be able to report where supplies may be obtained in the community. The patient and the family should be able to verbalize related fears and concerns and demonstrate a positive body image. And remember, future nurses, that the assistance of a wound, ostomy, and continence nurse can help the patient to achieve these outcomes. Remember that you have resources out there. You can refer the patient to a support group or organization, like the Ostomy Associations of America, for example, for further information, resources, advocacy, and support. Alright everyone, that brings this video to an end. The printable version of the slides to this video should be down below in the pinned comments. Please be sure to like this video, comment, share, and subscribe. Remember to never give up, and as always, thanks for watching.